Hello and welcome back to Chapeauetry. Today I'll be starting a very long poem, but it's been helpfully divided into 7 parts by the author Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So I'll just be reading part 1 today, and I'll be continuing over the next few days to read this poem. It's the story of a young fellow who just wants to go into a wedding, but who's stopped at the gate and has to listen to a tale of wondrous woe beforehand. And it seemed like an appropriate choice for today because, well, it's actually the birthday of 2 Jameses of my acquaintance. So, James, if you're watching this, happy birthday. And James Clark Ross, if you're watching this, happy birthday also. Although that's a bit scary because it's actually his 220th birthday. So you could say that he's a bit of an ancient mariner, which is why I will be reading the Rime of the Ancient Mariner today. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of 3. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stopp'st thou me? The bridegroom's doors are opened wide, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set, mayst hear the merry din. He holds him with his skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Hold off, unhand me, greybeard loon. Eftsoons his hand dropped he. He holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still, and listens like a 3 years' child. The mariner hath his will. The wedding guest sat on a stone, he cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbour cleared, merrily did we drop, below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. The sun came up upon the left, out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon, the wedding guest here beat his breast, for he heard the loud bassoon. The bride hath paced into the hall, red as a rose is she, nodding their heads before her goes the merry minstrelsy. The wedding guest he beat his breast, yet he cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. He struck with his o'ertaking wings, and chased south along, with sloping masts and dripping prow, as who, pursued with yell and blow, still treads the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud roared the blast, and southward aye we fled. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold, and ice mast-high came floating by, as green as emerald. And through the drift the snowy cliffs did send a dismal sheen, nor shapes of men nor beasts we ken, the ice was all between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled like noises in a swound. At length did cross an albatross. Through the fog it came, as if it had been a Christian soul. We hailed it in God's name. It ate the food it ne'er had eat, and round it flew. The ice did split with a thunder fit. The helmsman steered us through, and a good south wind sprung up behind. The albatross did follow, and every day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. In mist or cloud, on mast or shroud, it perched for vespers 9, whiles all the night through fog smoke white glimmered the white moonshine. God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why look'st thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. We'll leave off on that cliffhanger in the Antarctic. Thank you so much for joining me for part 1. Please do come back for part 2.